A luxury car dealer ridiculed a black millionaire who expressed interest in buying an expensive car, only to be left stunned when he discovered her son's identity. What unfolded next was something he never anticipated. The Elite Motors showroom sparkled under the afternoon sunlight, its vast glass walls reflecting the brilliance of the day. Inside, rows of pristine luxury vehicles gleamed, each one a testament to extravagance. Among them sat a metallic silver Aston Martin Vantage, its sleek design practically calling out to Sophia Ellis as she entered through the glass doors. Behind the front counter stood Blake Thompson, the dealership's owner. As Sophia approached the Aston Martin, he barely spared her a glance, engrossed in a conversation with another salesperson. His loud, unrestrained laughter echoed across the showroom. The other customers, primarily older white men in tailored suits, accompanied by elegantly dressed younger women, moved through the space with an air of entitlement. They exchanged nods with Blake, as though confirming their unspoken membership in an exclusive club. Sophia observed this with quiet amusement, her resolve solidifying as she prepared for the interaction ahead. As she walked past a couple near the entrance, she caught a murmured remark from the woman, spoken just loud enough to reach her ears. Ridiculous. Someone like her dreaming of buying an Aston Martin? The words hung in the air, sharp and cutting, but Sophia didn't flinch. She had faced worse. She straightened her posture and continued toward the car, ignoring the condescending looks from a few other customers. "Excuse me," she said, her hand gliding over the car's polished surface. "I'd like to know more about this model." Blake turned to face her, his piercing blue eyes sweeping over her appearance with unmistakable condescension. Despite her sophisticated attire, his expression betrayed disdain. "Perhaps you'd be more comfortable at our used car lot across town," he said, his tone steeped in arrogance. "This car is exceptionally exclusive. The Vantage is the epitome of British luxury and craftsmanship." Sophia straightened her posture, the subtle rustle of her silk dress the only sound as she replied with unwavering composure. "I am well acquainted with Aston Martin's reputation," she said. "I am specifically interested in learning about the performance capabilities and customization options for this model." Blake chuckled, his laughter cutting through the showroom. "This car costs more than most people make in 5 years," he said, turning to his colleague with a smirk. "I wouldn't want to waste her time or mine." Unfazed, Sophia raised her voice just enough to ensure she was heard. "You'll waste your time until you come over here and show me this car," she asserted firmly. Blake's amusement morphed into irritation. His polished demeanor began to crack, revealing a less flattering side. With a forced smile meant to placate onlookers, he stepped closer, invading her personal space in an effort to intimidate. "We have certain standards here at Elite Motors," he said, his voice cold. "Our clientele is selective. Perhaps you should leave before this becomes uncomfortable for everyone." Sophia stood tall, her dress catching the sunlight as she tilted her chin slightly upward. Years of navigating prejudice and smashing through glass ceilings had taught her how to hold her ground. "I'd like to speak with your supervisor," she said calmly, her voice unwavering. Blake puffed out his chest, clearly relishing the moment. "You are speaking to him," he declared, "and I am asking you to leave, now." When Sophia didn't budge, his irritation boiled over. Reaching for his phone, he sneered, "I am calling security and the police. We don't tolerate troublemakers here." The facade of civility was gone, replaced by unvarnished hostility. Moments later, 2 police officers arrived. Despite Sophia's composed explanation, she was handcuffed. As the officers escorted her out, Blake's mocking voice rang out behind her. "Next time, know your place." Sophia held her head high, her dignity intact despite the humiliation. The cold steel of the handcuffs bit into her wrists, but she showed no sign of discomfort. A subtle, knowing smile played on her lips, a hint of what was to come. What Blake didn't know about Sophia Ellis would soon become his biggest regret. Justice delivered. A story of consequences and redemption. I am aware that you handcuffed and arrested my mother, Sophia Ellis, the CEO of Bennett Financial Group, simply for attempting to buy a car at your dealership. Marcus Bennett stated, his tone calm but cutting. I also know you found it amusing and laughed while it happened. In doing so, your actions violated at least 15 state and federal laws. His words carried precision and gravity. This isn't an isolated incident either. My company has already been contacted by 3 other individuals who've had similar experiences here. As Marcus spoke, images from his childhood surfaced in his mind. He recalled watching his mother pour her heart and soul into building her business from the ground up. He remembered her returning home late at night, weary yet still making time to guide him with his schoolwork and impart invaluable lessons about perseverance and integrity. Those lessons extended beyond business success. They were about leveraging achievement to make meaningful contributions to the world. Blake Thompson, the dealership owner, visibly paled. The name Bennett Financial Group finally registered, and its implications became uncomfortably clear. Yes, Marcus confirmed, a slight smile playing on his lips, echoing the composed confidence his mother had displayed just a week earlier. The same Bennett Financial Group that, as of this morning, holds the majority ownership in Luxury Motors International, your parent company. He paused, allowing the weight of his words to sink in. My mother always emphasized the importance of wise investments, Marcus continued. It's remarkable what patience and the right strategy can accomplish. Blake sank into his leather chair. The triumph he'd exuded just days earlier, now replaced with stunned silence. The awards lining his office walls seemed less like accolades and more like reminders of an empire built on prejudice and privilege, an empire now on the brink of collapse. You'll be hearing from the corporate board later today, Marcus said, meticulously adjusting his cufflinks. But I wanted to deliver this message personally. My mother always taught me to look someone directly in the eye when delivering important news. There was no anger in his voice, only the measured assurance that justice was being delivered. As Marcus continued, he thought about the countless times his mother had faced adversity with grace and unwavering resolve. He reflected on the pride he felt when he chose to specialize in civil rights law, combining it with corporate takeovers. Standing in Blake Thompson's office now, he realized this moment was the embodiment of everything his mother had taught him about law, business, and confronting injustice with strategy and intelligence. Blake's mind raced as he searched desperately for an explanation or excuse that might salvage his position. But as he looked at Marcus, immaculately dressed and exuding quiet authority, grasped the enormity of his misjudgment. This wasn't just about one woman he had wronged, it was a reckoning with a systemic issue he had perpetuated for far too long. Mr. Bennett, Blake began, his voice barely audible, perhaps we can come to some sort of understanding. I didn't mean. Marcus held up a hand, cutting him off mid-sentence. Mr. Thompson, the time for excuses and deals has passed, Marcus stated firmly. The board and the courts will determine what happens next. In the meantime, I suggest you reflect on how you've treated people and managed your business. Perhaps this can become a learning opportunity. As Marcus turned to leave, he paused at the door, resting his hand on the polished handle. Oh, one last thing, my mother decided to buy her Aston Martin from your competitor across town. They were far more professional. His smile widened. In fact, she purchased 2, one for herself and one for me. We might stop by now and then just to admire the view. The door clicked softly behind him, leaving Blake alone with his mounting regrets. His face turned as pale as the legal documents that would soon dismantle his career. The memory of his laughter from that fateful day echoed in his mind, hollow and taunting, a reminder of how swiftly fortunes can shift when justice finds its mark. Sophia Ellis's experience at Elite Motors became a national headline, sparking widespread discussions about racial discrimination in luxury retail spaces and the persistent barriers faced by people of color in accessing premium services. Messages of solidarity poured in for Sophia from others who had endured similar treatment but lacked the resources to fight back. Empowered by this support, Sophia and Marcus launched a foundation to provide legal aid to victims of racial discrimination in consumer settings. The Elite Motors case became a beacon for change, inspiring awareness and raising funds to transform a personal affront into a movement for justice. Under mounting pressure from Bennett Financial Group and the Court of Public Opinion, Elite Motors underwent sweeping changes. Diversity and inclusion training became mandatory, hiring practices were revamped to ensure equity, and a strict zero-tolerance policy for discrimination was implemented. Blake Thompson, stripped of his position and facing multiple lawsuits, watched as his carefully constructed empire crumbled. For the first time, he began to understand the true cost of his prejudice, not just in financial losses, but in the opportunities he had squandered and the harm he had caused. As Sophia Ellis cruised past Elite Motors in her new Aston Martin, a serene smile graced her face. The soft purr of the engine beneath her seemed a fitting accompaniment to her thoughts. She had taught her son well not only about business and law, but about something far more important, the power of justice. Sometimes, the most profound revenge lies not in anger, but in ensuring that others face the full weight of their actions. Have you ever faced discrimination or felt out of place somewhere you truly belonged? How did you handle it, and what impact did it have on you? If you were in Sophia's position, would you have pursued legal action or chosen a different path? Share your thoughts and experiences below, and thank you for joining us for this inspiring story. Stay tuned for more impactful narratives.